Ethan had always been curious. That curiosity had brought him to Zephyra, a planet that looked like it belonged in someone's wildest dream. The sky was not blue like Earth. It shimmered with soft purples and greens, and twin moons floated lazily above the horizon. Forests glowed faintly, and rivers reflected colors that made it hard to believe they were real. He and his small expedition team had been sent to explore the planet, to document life and to search for anything unusual. But what they were really looking for, what Ethan had read about in the secret mission files, was a spring that was whispered about in old exploration logs called the Forbidden Spring. It was said to grant abilities beyond imagination, but with dangers no one had fully understood. Ethan walked through the glowing forest, careful not to make a sound. His boots barely pressed into the soft, luminous grass, and the strange floating stones around him seemed to pulse slightly, almost like the forest was alive and breathing. He had slipped away from the main camp. The others had stayed behind to set up equipment, their shouts and chatter fading behind him. He was alone now, and he liked it that way. The idea of discovering the Forbidden Spring first filled him with both excitement and a little fear. He pushed through a patch of trees that seemed thicker than the rest, their leaves shimmering silver in the strange light. Then he saw it. The spring. It was smaller than he expected, but perfect. A pool of water that glowed from within. The glow was hypnotic, swirling like liquid light. Mist rose from the surface, curling in soft tendrils that looked almost alive. Ethan stepped closer. His heart beat faster, and a strange feeling washed over him. The forest seemed to quiet down. Even the faint buzzing of distant insects vanished. Then he heard it. A whisper, soft and smooth like silk sliding across the air. "Drink, and you belong to me." Ethan froze. The words made no sense. There was no one in sight. The forest was empty except for him and the spring. Yet the whisper continued, barely audible but impossible to ignore. "Drink, and you belong to me." He shook his head. It had to be a trick of the mind. Maybe his brain was playing games, or maybe it was the stress of the expedition. But curiosity won over caution. Ethan knelt and scooped a handful of the glowing water. It was cool, almost icy, yet it burned slightly as it touched his skin. Without thinking, he drank. The effect was instant. Energy rushed through his body like electricity. His head spun for a moment, and he fell back onto the grass, gasping. Colors intensified. Sounds became sharper, and he could suddenly feel the tiny vibrations in the trees and the faint pulse of life in every creature nearby. He sat up, amazed and scared. Everything around him was alive in a way he had never experienced. And then he saw her. A figure appeared at the edge of the spring, almost like a reflection at first. She was a woman, but not human. Her skin shimmered like the surface of the water, and her eyes glowed with the same light as the spring. Her movements were smooth, graceful, and she seemed to float slightly above the ground. Ethan blinked, and she was closer. "You drank," she said, her voice soft but commanding, carrying the same hypnotic quality as the whisper. "Now you belong to me." Ethan stumbled back, trying to understand what he was seeing. I don't understand," he said. His voice sounded small in the immense forest. She smiled, a curve of lips that was both beautiful and dangerous. "You drank from the Forbidden Spring. That bond cannot be broken. Your fate is linked to mine." Ethan wanted to step back, but he felt an invisible tether pulling him toward her, gentle but unyielding. It was not painful, but it made moving away almost impossible. Panic rose in him. He had read about the spring, about powers and dangers, but he had never imagined this. He focused, trying to calm himself. Slowly, he realized he could still think clearly. The pull was there, but he could resist it if he concentrated. The woman at the spring tilted her head as if amused by his struggle. "Do not be afraid," she said. "You have been chosen because you are strong, because you are human. Few can survive the spring's gift. Few can handle it without being lost." What is this?" Ethan asked, his voice trembling slightly. "Who are you?" "I am Soraya," she said, stepping closer. The air around her shimmered as if the light itself bent around her. "I am the guardian of the spring. You now share a bond with me. You will see the world differently. You will feel life differently. And in time, you will understand what it means to belong to me." Ethan's mind reeled. He had always wanted to explore the unknown, to find something extraordinary. And now he had. But the price? The price seemed heavier than he imagined. He wanted to ask questions, to understand the rules, but the words would not come. Instead, he felt a surge of clarity and strength. He could hear the faintest movements in the forest, see the hidden life around him, sense the emotions of creatures he had never noticed before. He stumbled back toward camp, trying to act normal, but it was impossible. His senses were heightened, and the forest seemed alive with secrets he had never perceived. His companions noticed immediately. Lara, a fellow scientist, stared at him with wide eyes. "Ethan, you look different. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," he said quickly. But even as he spoke, he realized she could feel the change too, even if she didn't understand it. The pull of the spring tugged at him not just physically, but in his mind. He could hear the whispers again, soft and compelling, almost like a melody in his thoughts. "Come back. You belong to me." Ethan spent the night tossing and turning in his sleeping pod, trying to ignore the voice. Sleep came fitfully, filled with dreams of the glowing spring in Soraya's eyes. He saw visions of the forest changing, creatures thriving and struggling, energy moving through everything like a living river. In the dream, she reached for him, and the whisper came again. "You cannot escape. You belong to me now." By morning, he knew he could not hide the effects forever. The abilities were there, undeniable. The connection was real. He decided he needed to understand it, to explore it further, even if it frightened him. Later that day, while the rest of the team collected samples, Ethan slipped away again. The forest seemed to welcome him, guiding him toward the spring. And there she was waiting. Soraya's form shimmered in the morning light, as if she had been there all along. "You came back," she said, a hint of a smile on her lips. "Good, you will need courage to survive what comes next. The spring is not just water, it is life. And now life flows through you in ways you cannot yet understand." Ethan swallowed hard. He wanted answers, but he also felt something else. A strange calm, a connection he could not ignore. The pull of the spring was stronger than ever. And then she whispered again, softer this time, almost intimate. "Now you belong to me. Do not fear. In time you will see that it is not a curse but a gift." Ethan looked into her glowing eyes and realized that he had crossed a line he could not uncross. Whatever happened next, his life on Zephyra would never be the same. The spring had changed him. And Soraya, she was no longer just a presence in his mind. She was real, and somehow, impossibly, she was his guide, his challenge, and his future. With a deep breath, Ethan stepped closer to the spring. The pull was irresistible, but he no longer fought it. He wanted to understand. He wanted to survive. And he wanted to see what the bond truly meant. As he knelt by the glowing water, Soraya's voice echoed around him, wrapping his mind like silk. "We begin now, together." And with that, Ethan felt the last thread of his old life slip away, replaced by a new existence filled with power, mystery, and an alien presence that was both terrifying and mesmerizing. The forest hummed, the spring glowed brighter, and Ethan took his first step into the unknown. Ethan woke the next morning with a sense of purpose he had never felt before. The forest around him pulsed with life, every sound, every vibration, every faint rustle of leaves carrying meaning he could now understand. It was as if he could hear the heartbeat of the planet itself, and through it all the whisper of Soraya lingered, soft and compelling. "You belong to me. You will understand." He rose from his sleeping pod and moved through the forest with a confidence that surprised even him. The spring had changed him, yes, but it had also given him abilities he had only dreamed of. He could see the hidden movements of animals, feel the flow of energy through the land, and anticipate events before they happened. It was overwhelming yet exhilarating. Soraya appeared beside the spring as he approached. Her presence was calm and commanding, like a guiding force. "You have slept well?" she said, her glowing eyes studying him. Now it is time to learn what it truly means to bear the gift of the spring. Ethan nodded. He did not fully understand, but he trusted her. He knew she was testing him, guiding him, shaping him into someone who could handle the bond between them. She led him deeper into the forest, showing him hidden paths, secret glades, and creatures he had never imagined. He marveled at the beauty of Zephyra, but he also sensed danger. The forest was alive with predators and forces he could barely comprehend. Yet with Soraya by his side, he felt capable of facing anything. Their first real test came sooner than he expected. A violent storm erupted over the forest, unlike any he had seen before. Purple lightning crackled through the trees, and powerful winds threatened to uproot everything. Soraya guided him to a cliff overlooking a chasm, where a group of alien creatures was trapped by falling debris. "You must save them," she said, You now have the strength to act beyond human limits." Ethan's heart pounded, but he focused. He moved with precision and speed, leaping over broken branches and using the energy flowing through him to anticipate the creature's movements. He rescued them one by one, feeling the strange bond with Soraya strengthening as he acted. Her presence was in his mind, guiding him, whispering instructions that were always just enough to help him succeed. When the storm passed, the creatures scurried into the forest safely. Ethan stood panting, exhilarated and terrified at the same time. Soraya smiled at him, and for the first time there was a warmth in her expression. "You are learning," she said. "You are beginning to understand what it means to belong to the spring. And to me." Ethan wanted to ask her what that meant. Did he lose his freedom? Was he a servant of the spring? But her gaze was gentle, almost reassuring. He realized that this bond was not a prison. It was a partnership, though unlike anything he had ever known. Over the next days, Ethan explored his abilities further. He could manipulate small amounts of energy from the spring, using it to heal minor injuries, move objects, and sense disturbances in the forest. Soraya guided him patiently, never forcing, always encouraging. The whispers in his mind shifted from commands to gentle guidance, almost like a shared language only they could understand. Yet he could not ignore his human companions. Lara and the rest of the team had noticed his absences and the strange way he seemed to react to the forest. They confronted him one evening as he returned from the spring. "Ethan, what is happening to you?" Lara asked, concern etched on her face. "You're different. You're not the same person we came here with." Ethan took a deep breath. He wanted to explain, but he knew words could not capture the experience fully. "I drank from the spring," he admitted. "It's changed me, but I'm still human. I'm not lost." I promise. The team was skeptical, but they could not deny the truth. Ethan demonstrated his new abilities by helping them navigate the forest safely, sensing hidden dangers and guiding them around traps in unstable terrain. Slowly, they began to accept that something extraordinary had happened, though they did not understand it fully. One evening, as the twin moons of Zyphira rose high above the forest, Ethan returned to the spring alone. Soraya awaited him, her form glowing in the moonlight. "You have done well," she said. "You have proven that you can wield the gift responsibly. But the true test is coming." "What test?" Ethan asked, his pulse quickening. "There is a force in this forest," she explained, "one that threatens the balance of life here. It is drawn to the spring's energy, and if it reaches it, the consequences will be catastrophic. You must protect it and yourself." Ethan felt the weight of her words, but he did not falter. He had grown stronger, more confident, and he trusted his bond with Soraya. Together they moved through the forest, following a disturbance in the energy flow. The forest grew darker, the light from the bioluminescent plants dimming, and a low growl echoed through the trees. A massive creature emerged, unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. It had the body of a predator but was made of shifting shadows and energy. Its eyes glowed with malice, and it advanced toward them. Ethan felt fear, but he also felt power. Soraya's presence in his mind was steady, guiding him. "Focus, you are stronger than you think." He raised his hands, channeling the energy of the spring through him. A shield of light formed, protecting them from the creature's first attack. The battle was intense, the creature striking with speed and strength, but Ethan moved with precision, anticipating its movements through his heightened senses. Soraya aided him, her energy flowing through his own, creating a seamless partnership. Finally, with a surge of courage and strength, Ethan struck at the creature's core, dispersing it into harmless sparks of energy. The forest trembled, but the danger had passed. Ethan fell to his knees, exhausted but triumphant. Soraya stood beside him, her glow soft and approving. "You have succeeded," she said, "not just in strength but in spirit. You are human, yes, but you are extraordinary. You have proven that you can belong to the spring and still remain yourself. That is rare." Ethan looked at her, a mixture of awe and gratitude in his eyes. I don't fully understand," he admitted. "But I trust you. I want to learn more." Soraya's smile was faint but genuine. "That is all I ask. You will continue to grow, to explore, and to protect. The bond between us is not a chain, but a connection. Together, we ensure the balance of life here. Together we are stronger." The days turned into weeks, and Ethan continued to explore Zyphira with Soraya. He learned to manipulate the energy of the spring more skillfully, heal injured creatures, and even communicate with certain forms of life on the planet in ways that seemed impossible. His human companions came to accept his transformation, marveling at his abilities and the bond he shared with Soraya. Yet, despite the incredible powers and the strange beauty of the planet, Ethan never lost sight of who he was. He remained human in thought, in spirit, and in heart. The spring had changed him, yes, but it had not taken away his humanity. It had enhanced it, strengthened it, and challenged it in ways he had never imagined. One evening, as the sky shimmered with the colors of Zephyra's twin moons, Ethan stood at the edge of the spring. Soraya appeared beside him, her glow reflecting in the water. She reached out, her hand hovering near his, not touching but acknowledging the bond that had formed between them. "You are no longer just a visitor to this world," she whispered. "You are part of it and part of me. The spring has chosen wisely, and you have chosen wisely as well." Ethan looked into her glowing eyes, feeling a warmth and understanding that went beyond words. "I don't belong to the spring," he said softly. "I belong to the path we will walk together, and I will protect this world and everything in it with everything I have." Soraya nodded, a faint smile crossing her face. "Then we begin anew," she said. Together. The forest hummed softly around them. The spring glowed brighter than ever, its energy flowing through the land and through Ethan. He felt alive, stronger than he had ever been, and ready for whatever the future might hold. The bond was no longer a warning or a threat, it was a promise, a partnership, and a journey that would shape both their destinies. And as Ethan stood there, side by side with the guardian of the spring, he realized that he had found something far greater than power. He had found purpose, connection, and a new understanding of what it truly meant to be human, and extraordinary, on a world full of wonder. The whisper came again, soft and gentle this time, more like a reassurance than a command. "We belong to each other now. Together we are stronger." Ethan smiled, feeling the truth of the words in his heart. The spring had changed his life forever. But it had also shown him the greatest lesson of all: courage, humanity, and trust could exist even in the most alien and extraordinary circumstances. With Soraya by his side, he stepped away from the spring, ready to face the future of Zephyra, knowing that he was no longer just a human explorer. He was a protector, a partner, and a part of something far larger than himself.